Today we have with us someone very, very special. Welcome, Maria. We would be actually super, super curious to learn a little bit more about you and about your presentation.
Yes, thank you so much, Alexandra, first of all, for inviting me here and giving me the opportunity to share my journey and my knowledge about the topics of funding in the Web3 space, especially through grants, and how can hackathons improve, let's say, your career, but also how can a hackathon bring your project idea to be a successful business one day. And of course, I'll introduce EkoLance and what we do at EkoLance. And after that, we will speak about hackathons as a tool to accelerate your career and your project, as well as the funding landscape in the Web3 space. And I will be answering any questions from the crowd in the end of the presentation. All right, so one super important thing. If you want to get a certificate for this session, you can scan this code and receive a soulbound token. I will tell you a little bit more about these soulbound tokens in a second and why they're so important by introducing first EkoLance. So what we do, we're a talent platform, which means that anyone from the Web2 space or the Web3 space can join EkoLance, receive frequent upskilling opportunities, and get connected to blockchain companies, protocols, infrastructure companies, anyone hiring in the space. The way we do that is through hackathons and through different challenges that we host on our platform called Tech Fiesta. So we have upskilled and trained more than 9,000 professionals in the past 2 years since our inception. And we have completed over 30 hackathons, hence working with more than 30 blockchain companies and protocols who were sponsoring these hackathons. And during the hackathons, there were more than 350 applications which were built, 350 projects that came out of the hackathons. And you can see here on this picture, this is an in-person hackathon, which used our infrastructure to host the hackathon. This was in Barcelona last year during the European Blockchain Convention, where we had more than 200 participants participate in a hackathon with 2 sponsors. All right, so as I already mentioned, we upskill, we host hackathons and also bounties where people can win prizes and learn about new protocols and new technologies. And we also facilitate jobs with different blockchain companies. And you, as a member of our community, can take advantage of all of these 3 things. Some of the protocols that we have worked with, the more prominent ones are Solana, Celo, Gnosis Chain. We have EVM-based and non-EVM-based protocols, and we're always trying to find prominent protocols or growing protocols where our talent community or user community can grow within these ecosystems, start their own project, or find a job in this ecosystem. All right, so actually before I move to hackathons, why I want you to scan this code is to receive a soulbound token, which is an on-chain certificate essentially, which is not transferable. And by receiving the soulbound token, you will have a certificate in your wallet certifying that you are part of this session. At EkoLance and at Tech Fiesta, our platform, we're building your portfolio that way. So this is something very exciting we're doing in a cooperation with Concordium, layer 1 blockchain, where everyone can build their on-chain credentials with soulbound tokens. So for everything you do within our ecosystem, so be it a training, be it a hackathon, be it a bounty, or be it a job that you receive through us or do through us, you will receive a soulbound token, which will certify this experience. And this way, you can show employers or protocols where you're applying for grants, you can show this portfolio, and it's a testament or it testifies basically the credentials that you've had and all the experience that you have collected. All right, so let's move on to the subject of hackathons and why am I so excited about hackathons and why they are a thing in the Web3 space. So when I moved to Web3, I haven't actually heard about hackathons. I heard about them when I started EkoLance. And a lot of the companies we were working with were saying, okay, we want to onboard talent, but why don't we do a hackathon? Because that way we can test people to see what are their skills, what projects they can build. We can see how experienced they are actually. And then we can decide who to hire. So we organized our first hackathon in the beginning of 2023. And for me, it was a very new experience, and I saw the power of the hackathon. So I put here some statistics and maybe the 4 most important things for you as a person when you participate in a hackathon, which is skill enhancement. So when you participate in the hackathon, which is essentially a challenge where a company that is sponsoring the hackathon asks you to do something, to develop a project on a certain topic. So let's say, I'm a blockchain protocol specializing in DeFi, and I'm asking you to develop an application where you incorporate my blockchain technology and let's say my wallet in your decentralized application that is somehow enhancing a problem that you have discovered. And let's say then you create an application, for example, for collecting, for example, charities and tracking the path of the money when someone is giving money for charity using this wallet and this blockchain protocol, for example. So you can, of course, enhance your skills by learning more about the blockchain protocol that is sponsoring, by incorporating their technology. And of course, by enhancing your skills that way, you're actually building an application and you can testify when you're applying for a job or when you're applying for funding somewhere that you have done this project and you have the skills and experience to actually receive money for this or apply for a job with this experience. So almost 90% of participants participating in hackathons learn new skills during these hackathons. Of course, amazing networking opportunities, as you saw on the first picture, with almost more than 200 developers participating in the hackathon that I showed you. You meet people, incredible people, basically from all over the world during a hackathon. They bring their own experiences, their own skills, their own backgrounds, and you can maybe meet your next co-founder. You can meet your next employer. You can meet your next colleague during a hackathon. So the networking opportunities are really great. You build your portfolio, as I already mentioned. So we have noticed, and of course, this is also a result of a survey, that more than 80% of participants include hackathon projects on their resumes and portfolios when they're applying for a job. And as I mentioned, the career opportunities. So a lot of the hackathon participants are participating in a hackathon with the goal to actually find a job and an employer. And from the hackathons that we have hosted, most of the hackathons are actually not there to recruit people, but as I mentioned, people find each other during a hackathon. So there are a lot of job opportunities coming out of a hackathon. All right, so we have created some libraries, let's say, or some educational videos to learn more about hackathons, how to build a project out of a hackathon, how to be successful during the hackathon. You can scan this QR code, and which will lead you to our YouTube channel. And you can find more information about different aspects of hackathons and how to be successful during a hackathon. And also, I've left here some links to online hackathon platforms, but also in-person hackathons. I can say a few words about the advantages and disadvantages of both. So I would suggest to anyone here who has never participated in a hackathon to first try an online hackathon, because it's related to basically no cost. You can just join an online hackathon at no cost. You don't have to travel anywhere. You can do it from your own home, and you can just get a taste what is a hackathon and how to participate in one and learn how to be successful in a hackathon. And then I would suggest to go to an in-person hackathon because the energy is really amazing and you can meet a lot of cool people there. As I said here, you can see some very, very cool links to some platforms. Of course, one of them is our platform, techfiesta.dev, where you can see ongoing hackathons. And maybe to give you a little bit of idea why are hackathons a thing in Web3. First of all, because Web3 is all about collaboration and all about learning by doing. So in Web3, everything is developing so quickly that hackathons are a great way to keep up, actually. And that's why there are so many hackathons happening in Web3. All the blockchain protocols that are or infrastructure companies that are sponsoring the hackathons do that in order to present the new tech stack they're bringing out, or a new feature they're bringing out, or a new update they're bringing out. And with the hackathon, they introduce this new feature, update technology, explain it, and want developers or tech professionals to get on board and to develop projects. So this is essentially the goal of the hackathon. And that's why blockchain protocols do hackathons. And you as a person, as a professional, by participating in a hackathon, first of all, you can meet the protocol representatives. You can meet the people working for the protocol. By meeting them, you can understand what are the opportunities to work within their ecosystem. So their goal during the hackathon is, of course, people to understand about their tech stack, to understand about the protocol, but also to create projects that increase the transaction volume, right, on the protocol. So by meeting them, you can understand, okay, what do they really want and what are my chances to become part of their community? And do I really want to become part of their community? So you can analyze for yourself, is it a community that you think will grow in the future? Is it a community that you would be like to be part of? You can understand their culture during the hackathon. You can talk to them. And this way, I think everyone can decide for themselves which protocols to join. Because that's why they're called actually layer 1, layer 2, and so on, because on the top of a layer 1 protocol that is hosting a hackathon, they're growing, more projects are growing on top of it and building more layers. And by you joining the protocol, you can get to know the first layer, and then you can create the next layer, or you can join the team of the next layer. And this is why Web3 hackathons are so important and so popular. And by joining a hackathon, actually, you not only have access to job opportunities, you have access to funding opportunities. And this is the next topic I would like to talk to you about. I've included some statistics here, but before I move on to explain the statistics, I want to explain how a hackathon is a path to funding. So, as I mentioned, the goal of a hackathon is actually to build a project, or the goal of the sponsor of a hackathon is for more projects to be built, and of course, good projects to be built, projects that will bring larger community, more users, more transactions on chain. And by building a good project during a hackathon, you become eligible for funding. And this funding is given by the hackathon sponsor in the shape and form of a grant. And this is now here a statistics of the VC funding in Web3. And I will briefly speak about it and then tell you basically the advantages and disadvantages of VC funding and grant funding. And you can decide for yourself which funding is more suitable for you or for your project or for you as a person. So, of course, we all know that there was the crypto winter. We're coming out of it. I would classify currently the state of the market as the beginning of the bull market. So you can see on the first picture here that compared to Q3 and Q4, we have had much more projects funded in Q1 this year. We have had around 350 projects funded, VC backed, and almost $2 billion in US dollars given out to companies in the Web3 world, to Web3 startups. You can see here on the second graph what kind of projects are being funded. So mostly early stage projects are currently being funded. And this is interesting to compare to, let's say, the last bull cycle, where also a lot of later stage companies were funded, which meant that probably larger tickets. So we can still see that VCs are very careful, giving out mostly smaller tickets in funding. And who is being funded, we can see on this graph. So mostly infrastructure companies, NFT projects, DAOs, metaverse gaming. So gaming is a super big topic. And then trading, exchanges, investing, lending. So this is where the most funds go to in the VC world, but actually also in the grants world. Because when you open different grants pages and when you see for what are grants being given, these are the main topics that receive grants. Infrastructure, gaming, a lot of gaming, and trading, DeFi. These are the three main topics that receive grants and funding in the Web3 world. Now, I would like to speak about VC funding and grants. What is VC funding and what are grants? So when we're talking about VC funding, who are the investors? These are professional investors, so venture capital companies. And when we speak about grants, the investors are blockchain foundations or blockchain infrastructure companies that are giving grants. And when we receive VC funding, it's an equity round usually, which means that our investor becomes a shareholder in the company. And when we receive a grant, this is a non-equity funding. So we receive money from the foundation to build something for them or to integrate their technology into our product. And I will give you very detailed examples of how we at EkoLance are receiving grants and for what we're receiving these grants. So you can understand this table or this statistics for what are these grants given and how are these grants basically absorbed and how they're working. All right, so when a VC is investing in us, they're looking for a higher return on investment. So they're giving us money and the average funding amount is around 500K in euros. So they're looking for a return on their investment. So they're giving you this money and expect to do a 10x or 15x or 50x on their investment. And the grants, they have smaller funding amounts, so between 5 and 50K on average. And they're giving you this money because they're looking for a strategic partner for their ecosystem. So this strategic partner should ideally increase the number of transactions on the blockchain or increase the community members on the blockchain or for the blockchain foundation. And this is why they're giving out these grants. And now I would like to give you an example, speaking, of course, from my own experience when we are applying for grants, how we're looking for these grants, for what we are giving grants, and then maybe also talk about this roadmap. But before I speak about the roadmap, I will give you these examples. So let me go back to this statistics here. All right. So as I mentioned, a lot of the grants are given for infrastructure. What does that mean? That means that the blockchain protocol wants companies or teams to build tools so more teams can build on the technology of the protocol. gaming, metaverse, DAOs, NFTs. These are projects that bring a lot of users, right? So DeFi as well, it brings a lot of users. So why these three are the strongest? Because of this one, increasing number of transactions and increasing community members. How? So when you build infrastructure for a protocol, you bring developers to build more projects. And by building more projects, you're increasing the number of developers, you're increasing the number of projects, which is increasing the number of transactions on the protocol. That's why they receive grants, and a lot of them receive grants. When you're doing a game or an NFT project, you bring a lot of users to the blockchain, which is increasing, again, the number of transactions and the community members. And when you're building a DeFi protocol or a DeFi application or an exchange, again, you're increasing the number of transactions. So all three are benefiting or are catering to these both KPIs that are very important for blockchain protocols. And that's why they receive most of the funding. What we are doing at EkoLance and for what we're receiving grants are two things. And where do we classify here? So I would say that we classify in the education part, which is like a very small percentage receiving grants, and maybe in this, let's call it Web3 NFT part. I will explain why. So our platform is actually a tech platform. So of course, we do education, sessions like this one. We organize live sessions where we speak about something and our community learns about a certain topic. But these communities then onboarded on our platform, similar to Thrilled Labs, actually. You can also download the app. We don't have an app to download. Ours is in the browser or on the phone. Is a in-browser application. You join the community and you create a profile, essentially. And with this profile, you can have a wallet. So we onboard you on a certain protocol or on a certain wallet. This way we increase, of course, the number of users on this wallet, right? So we cater to this KPI, increasing the community members. By onboarding you on the wallet, for everything you do within our ecosystem, you receive a soulbound token, as I mentioned, which creates numbers of transactions. Giving a soulbound token and also reading the soulbound token creates transactions on chain, which of course is beneficial to the blockchain protocol that gave us the grant to build this feature. And this is why we actually received the grant, because we catered exactly to this KPI, increasing the community members and increasing the numbers of transactions. And why do we also receive grants is because of the education and online hackathon part. So we also apply for grants where blockchain protocols are looking to fund educational sessions or hackathons. Because hackathons do both. They educate, as I mentioned earlier in my presentation, you increase your skills or you learn new skills, but you also onboard new talent to the protocol, which again, I'm coming back to this KPI, increasing the community members. So that's why we also receive grants. So basically there are two things. On one side, we are increasing the community members for blockchain protocols by educating them and by them creating new projects. And on the other side, we are increasing the number of transactions because we give soulbound tokens for everything people do within our ecosystem. All right, so now let's talk about the roadmap on how to get a grant. Currently, there are a lot of grants online. You can just Google grants in Web3 and you'll receive multiple different lists of grant projects that are currently ongoing. I would always suggest to do a little bit of analytical work before you start applying for grants. And that's why I created this roadmap. So first, you have to think about what are you building or who could be a good fit as a strategic partner for what you're building. So again, I'll talk about us. In our case, what we do on our platform is also we pay everyone, all talent on our platform, we pay in cryptocurrencies. We have integrated 3 different chains so far, which are Ethereum, Polygon, and Solana. And for example, we have received a grant from the Solana Foundation for integrating their wallet. So now let's say if I want to integrate another wallet, let's say MetaMask, which we have already integrated, but imagine we haven't. I could go to MetaMask and say, hey, I would bring you 9,000 new users if I integrate your wallet, because I have 9,000 users that will be paid using MetaMask on my platform. Do you want to do that? If yes, you can give me a grant and I'll integrate your wallet to our platform. So this is the logic that you can use in order to think, is it a good fit? A certain blockchain protocol giving out grants, and what can you do for them? because of course you have to offer them something for the grant. So step number one, what are you building and who could be a good fit as a strategic partner? I can give you another very good example here with a grant we have received from Concordium. One thing that a lot of our clients are requesting is that we do an analysis of the hackathon participants participating in hackathons to eliminate participants from certain countries which are restricted. For example, we have partners that cannot work with Chinese citizens or with US citizens because of regulatory reasons. So we have to make sure that a participant in a hackathon is not from the US or not from China. There are certain KYC or know your customer providers that we can use that are centralized, but I really wanted to go with the decentralized solution. So we have integrated, or we have found that one blockchain protocol is specialized in on-chain identification verification. This is Concordium. I spoke then to Concordium. I contacted the team, and here I am coming to point number 4, try to build personal relationships with the team and analyze during several calls if you're a good fit. So, first I analyzed, I thought, we need that feature. Who is building that? Then I found Concordium. Then I contacted the team. I spoke with the team. I think we had like 4 calls. I discovered, it's a very good fit for us. They have a grant program. I asked them, can you give us a grant to build this with you? They said yes. And we have built this with them. So now if a client wants us to, only have people from certain countries or people from not from certain countries, we can do that with the on-chain ID identification from Concordium. And this was the roadmap that I used in getting this grant, right? So analyze what you're building, who could be a good fit for what you're building, and then make a list with blockchains who could be potential fit for you as grant givers. Then research if they have a grants program. The best is, of course, to go to their website, see if they have any grants, and then reach out to them. This makes a huge difference. And this is something that the Solana Foundation, when we received a grant from them, again, I reached out to them. I met them. We had several calls. We analyzed, is it a good fit? Does it make sense? It also has to bring value to them, of course. They're investing in us, basically. And they become our long-term partner, right? Because they're giving you money, and this way they become your long-term partner that you will work with in the future. So does it make sense for them and for us? And they told me that a lot of the grant applications they receive are just ChatGPT generated. And I was like, oh my God, I can understand that. A lot of people just, searching for grants, applying for 10 grants per day without really thinking about, does this grant make sense for me? Does this grant make sense for the company giving the grant? They just apply for grants. But in the end of the day, by building a personal relationship, the people that decide if they want to give you the grant or not already know you, right? So they already understand what you're building. They already understand the value you're bringing. So the probability of you getting the grant is, of course, higher. So I would always suggest for you to build a personal relationship or to contact the people from the protocol before you apply for a grant. And then, of course, write your grant application. And this should be done in a very professional manner. Sometimes when I apply for grants, the grant applications of other applicants are open. You can see them. They're in a Notions page. You can scroll through them. Very often, they are very strange grant applications. You can see that people clearly didn't read the documentation for the grant application. They clearly don't understand what the protocol is doing. They just generate some generic application, probably with ChatGPT, and send it to, 50 protocols that have grants. So in a good grant application, you have to describe your project idea that is tailored to the protocol. So why exactly do you want to work with this protocol, and what is your product idea for the protocol? And then you have to describe the budget proposal, not only asking for 50K, but also saying, what exactly are you going to use this money for, and why is it so much? So ideally break it down even to cost per hour. Let's say I want to build a front end for something and I will need 15K because I have one designer that costs me this and this much per hour, and I will use this designer for a month and a half, and that's why it costs 15K, right? So really clearly describe why do you need this money and how much you need. And then, of course, a milestone plan. That means how exactly are you going to implement the project? So when are you going to be done with the project and with each milestone of the project? By submitting a grant application like this, that is again tailored to the protocol or the infrastructure company giving out the grant, you will show them that you have done your research, you really clearly are a good fit for them, and they will have a very good idea of what you're building, how much it's going to really cost you, and when are you going to be done with this, right? So maybe here I'm going back a little bit to the funding in Web3. So why do we work with grants? So usually to fund our IT cost, right? To fund our IT development cost, to develop a product that will make you money one day, right? So we usually cannot use grants for other things, right? So you can see here again what is being funded exactly. And usually IT development cost is being funded through grants. And by receiving the grant, you cannot expect to fund the operations of your business for a full year, right? Because again, the tickets are smaller compared to VCs, but at the same time, you're not giving up equity. So you keep your equity, but what you win is a long-term strategic partner that will very likely even give you a follow-up grant or become your client or essentially maybe help you out to find good VCs because they have also a VC network, good VCs for your VC round, or refer you to other protocols or to some relevant clients for you. So these are definitely the benefits of the grants. I'm a big fan of grants. We have so far received 3 for the development of Tech Fiesta, our platform. But going forward in the future, for us, definitely it makes sense to apply for grants for hackathons, for organizing hackathons, because a lot of the blockchain protocols pay for their hackathons through their grant programs. So this is in a nutshell my experience with funding in Web3 through grants mostly, and my personal roadmap on how to get a grant. And again, if you want to get your on-chain certificate, you can scan here. And now I'm open for questions.
Thank you all for having joined.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.